Welcome into the Casual Gaming Conversation. I'm Connor. That's Nick. This is your weekly gaming podcast from Co-op 64. Today we're doing a little what we've been playing. We're gonna run through everything that we've been playing over these last couple of months. It's been a minute since we did one of these. When I went back to the last game I talked about on one of these episodes, I was like, "Jeez."
Did I talk about Celeste on the last episode? Did you check that?
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay. Then maybe I'll also talk a little bit about Celeste. Why not?
There you go. So yeah, we're gonna be doing that. We're gonna be doing a fighting games draft at the end, and we're gonna be hitting you with our hot takes, of course, at the beginning. But Nick, how are we doing?
Doing well. This has been a long weekend. This is the Halloween weekend, in my opinion, where everyone gets together, costumes up, and has a good time. Went to a Halloween party last night, had some fun there. But we were shooting very early in the morning, so it didn't go all out, didn't go too crazy by any means. And then Friday, went to Purdue. Shout out to the fans that I met out there. They were all super kind, super awesome. And then had a great time with my childhood best friend, Sam. And overall, just had a great weekend, a very busy weekend. One of those weekends that, I said this on our Discord page where I was like, man, I really kind of just want to go cough, cough. Like, oh, Sam, I'm sick. I can't go and drive to Purdue so I can play Call of Duty all weekend. Mm-hmm. But no, I'm excited to finally get to sit down and relax a little bit after a weekend of socializing, which I feel like I haven't necessarily had in months at this point because it's just been review after review. So it was a nice weekend. How are you doing?
This is my last full weekend before having to work on Saturdays for the busy season for my job. So I kind of just soaked that in, relaxed, hung out, played some Metaphor, played some Call of Duty, took some naps. Honestly.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, no, just hung out. It was good. It was a good
Is
weekend.
there anything better than waking up, playing a game for an hour or two, maybe getting a chore done, maybe getting an errand done, and then all of a sudden you come back, you take a nap, and then Connor, I'm not done. Then you go and you do more shit, and then all of a sudden it's 4:30, and you're like, I'm actually gonna take another nap.
No, I would never do that.
Oh, dude,
that's
I love
wild.
that shit. There was a moment last year.
2 naps in one day.
There was a moment last year where I went and did hot yoga in the morning with the person I was dating at the time. Did yoga, went, got her a plant. I went and checked out something that for company stuff, and then got back. We took a nap. Then we went and I was playing Spider-Man 2 at the time. So played Spider-Man 2 and then took another fucking nap after the fact. Oh
wild.
My God. And then I stayed up till 4 a.m. playing Spider-Man.
I'm like a 4 p.m. kind of nap person, 4 to 5, and then wake up and kind of hit the ground running with some video games or some tours or whatever I got to do.
Is there a better, Connor and I both grew up in a Christian family, so we went to church on Sundays. Is there a better feeling than the post-church nap?
Yeah.
Around 2-3 o'clock, you're watching Pirates of the Caribbean Outworld's End on TV, and all of a sudden you just doze off. It's so fucking good, dude. Come on.
Those are some good naps for sure. All right, let's not dilly-dally with the housekeeping first. We are streaming on Twitch Monday through Thursday, 7 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. If you're watching this on Monday, the Monday that it comes out, we have Mario Party Jamboree community nights. We're going to be playing with the community on Monday. So if you want to come hang out, watch, or play along with us, we're going to be doing the 8-player mode. So we'll be rotating people in and out. So it'll be a lot of fun. So looking forward to that. Nick is playing Mass Effect 2 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I am starting Devil May Cry on the PlayStation 2 on Wednesday. So that'll be a lot of fun. So be sure to tune into that. Last chance, last call. The Ohio Retro Gaming Convention is coming up on this upcoming Saturday. So if you want to come to our panel, it's from 11:30 to 12. We are breaking down the 20 greatest games of all time, according to you, at this event. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be doing a live guessing list like we do on the TikTok, so that's going to be a blast. And then we're going to be doing a meet and greet that night at 16-Bit Arcade in Columbus as well. So if you want to come hang out for that, that's at 6 p.m. We're going to be hanging out for a few hours, talking, chatting, playing games, having a good time. So looking forward to meeting everybody.
Yes, it's going to be awesome. The community's already talking just rapidly and rampantly about touring. It's a ton of fun. I can't believe that it's actually here. The whole discussion that we had that basically this entire year was it's in a few months. It's in a few weeks. And now it is days away. And the excitement is insane. The fact that people are going to be traveling starting on Thursday to come for the weekend is just fucking awesome. We ran through our morning meeting being like, when are you guys coming up? When have we got to figure out? It's one of those, there's so many things to figure out, but at the end of the day, we're just going to get to hang out and meet our community and have an awesome time and enjoy this convention. It's really funny for me and Brady, because when it comes to the convention aspect, that's like a Brady and me joint for like an hour. Like we're just going to walk around, like enjoy some like, you got Super Mario 64, and just be like, that's cool, and then just like continue on with their day. Connor's like about to go and drop a bag and a half, and it'd just be like video games. Like
it's gonna be bad. It's
Yeah.
gonna be dangerous in there for me. I'm
Yeah.
looking for a PS Vita. I'm thinking about a new 3DS XL. I'm looking for certain titles like Silent Hill 3, which are like $200. If I see a little Earthbound, maybe.
Oh,
No,
gosh.
there's no way.
Chrono
There's no-
Trigger?
maybe.
Oh
maybe.
my
We'll
god,
think about it,
dude! It's so
but
the excitement is there to be like, this whole weekend is gonna be a ton of fun. But the way that I say it and have been very clear on this is vacation, because I know it's not. I know we're working. I know that there's like stuff to do, but it's so much fun for me, Connor, and Brady to get together when we are not actively doing content. And that Friday night is gonna be a lot of fun. That Saturday post meet and greet is gonna be a lot of fun. And then immediately after, Connor, we hit the ground running with Co-op 64 Day.
yeah.
And
Well, Game Awards too in between
and
that.
Game Awards, dude. Game Awards is so exciting for me. I went and watched a lot of 2023's Game Awards, and the 2023 Game Awards is freaking awesome. Like, it is a good show. It's not as good as 2022. And I think that we are in a spot where everything is revving up the right way to announce a bunch of shit. Like, these prediction episodes that we're going to do for the Game Awards are going to be like, everything's on the table. I know we're in a weird spot that literally everything is on the table, where I felt like years past, it's like, all right, the timing isn't going to work out for this. Like, a little fun one for you. The fact that we could see the I007 game and Kingdom Hearts 4 at this fucking thing, and the Switch 2 gets announced, not actually going to happen. But yeah, like, there's so much out there. To close off that conversation, but start a new one. I think we're like 8 or 9 weeks since we initially predicted the Switch 2 coming out this week,
Yeah.
Connor. This is the week.
No, it's not.
This is the week, everyone. You heard it here first. And by you heard it here first, if you follow gaming leaks and rumors on Reddit or just like Twitter or anything like that, you're hearing a lot right now. I do believe that this is the week. And if that is the case, our plan for it is to watch the trailer together whenever we get the chance, and try not to spoil the reaction for ourselves and have a great time there. I'm really, really, really looking forward to it, because not only the content will be fun, it will begin the stirring of conversation. Honestly, this would be the week to do it. You want to know why? Because then the next podcast is going to be 2 weeks away after. If it got announced on Monday, we might have to do an emergency pod or something.
Yeah. It'll be really fascinating to see how they end up, how this whole thing ends up panning out, because it feels like it's been so drawn out. We thought we were going to have this announced early this year or even last year, and then it's just again on and on and on.
I predicted last year Game Awards, we got the fucking announcement of this thing, and now it's going to be another year where potentially it's the Game Awards, and now I'm predicting this thing. But no, I think that whenever it shows up, I'm going to be excited. I think the whole crew's going to be excited. This is our first time as a company going to be like covering a console launch and everything, and like that is so fucking exciting. So I really hope that the rumors say Monday or Tuesday, and if it is Monday or Tuesday, it could be groundbreaking stuff heading into a fun week over at Torg. Also, I mean, there's an excitement to me when a game doesn't release on a Friday, and Dragon Age is Thursday, so I'm excited to just Dragon Age it up with the late night on that game and everything there too. So we got a fun week of content. We got a fun week of games ahead of us. But we also have things like hot takes that we got to hop into right now.
Yeah, well, we also have merch and Discord in the link in the bio over on TikTok. If you want to join the Discord and join the community, it's a lot of fun over there. And if you want to buy t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, we have that available on the merch store. And also, if you could leave us a nice review on Apple Podcast services, even if you don't listen over there, it helps us a lot get this podcast out to other people and have people discover it. Somebody poked into our Twitch stream and was like, yeah, I loved your Silent Hill podcast. I just searched up Silent Hill discussions on Spotify and found you guys. So like, it's cool that people are discovering us just kind of naturally without being fans of the TikTok or fans of the Twitch or YouTube or whatever.
Yeah,
so yeah,
really cool.
Really awesome when it comes to that. But hopping into the hot takes, I'll kick us off this week.
Ooh.
My gaming hot take is that we need to remember that the Game Awards, it's supposed to be fun. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. I feel like gaming as a whole takes the Game Awards more seriously than any other medium's award show. Like the way that we talk about the Grammys or the Oscars. Like at the end of the day, those are kind of just jokes to people who are really into movies or music, where it's like, who really cares what won the Grammy? It's just whatever the album of the year is, isn't really ending up winning the Grammy probably. It's just the overall discussion around it. You think that Charlie XCX's Brat is going to win the album of the year at the Grammys? Absolutely not. But that is the album of the year. That is the discussion that I'm trying to have here. But like when it comes to the Game Awards, people are like, well, it didn't win Game of the Year, so it's invalidated, or like it's less valid because of that. But it doesn't matter. It's a lot of fun. We're supposed to be enjoying ourselves when it comes to the Game Awards. And I don't want to be caught up in these arguments about Black Myth Wukong and Space Marine 2 not getting nominated for certain things, or Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, or other things winning Game of the Year that don't deserve it, or whatever, or you think don't deserve it. I just like, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But just remember that it's just supposed to be fun. Like, I'm trying to have a good time with the Game Awards and have these fun discussions. And, I don't want to put too much stock in the Game Awards as a whole. So that's my hot take.
I disagree with this 100%, actually. For me, I'm a firm believer that to enjoy things in life, you need to put stake in it. Like, you need to put your own mark in it. And so, like, something like sports, like the Patriots winning or losing does not matter. But you want to know what makes it exciting? Watching the game and being like, no, this is actually going to determine my happiness and joy with something like this. And for me, the Game Awards is something that I'm like, okay, I want to have those discussions. I really want to get fired up about this because it's a lot of fun. Yes, I do agree with
it's supposed to be fun.
It's supposed to be fun, but I also think that having the passion behind it is what makes this medium so interesting. And when you compare to something like the Grammys or like the Oscars, there's a reason that those award shows are dying off in viewership, because it's not interesting, because it
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But also the reason that there's an incline in this industry is, one, the trailers is the only award show where there's new shit announced all the time, and then two, people really start to care about this stuff, and I am all about caring about it. For me, having
caring
those discussions
about it is one
great.
thing, but putting stock in it and letting and using it in arguments to like invalidate certain things or validate others, I think is really silly.
I don't know. I think it's a fun and interesting way to go and say, as long as you understand the conversation that, yes, this is a 90% vote by media, meaning that these are journalists and media that play these games, and that's 90% that drives this voting process. For me, I think that that's a great way to start and like spur on discussion, being like, oh, 90% of media thought this year that let's just say last year's Game Award winner was Baldur's Gate 3. I think that allows us to have a conversation being like, hey, this game isn't for us, but there's so many people that really fucking love it that, yeah, no, Baldur's Gate 3 is an awesome fucking game.
But I knew that before. I knew that before the Game Awards, and it's like this year with Black Myth Wukong, that like that's a lot of people's game of the year, and I don't think it getting nominated or winning should change that in anybody's mind. Like, I'm not gonna be like, well, it didn't get nominated for game of the year, so clearly it's not even that good or whatever.
I do agree with that. You need to be able to go and have your own personal takes and like put your own stake in the ground and be like, no, this is my goatee, and I firmly think that everyone should do that. Everyone should have opinions, but the discussion and the fever around it, I think, is important to have, because I think it's what makes the industry great. Our lively discussions, lively debates, and the Game Awards adds to that. So I love putting stake into it because it makes it more important in these discussions, a little bit more fun.
But at the end of the day, it's supposed to be trivial. We're talking about video games. It doesn't matter that much. And we use the Game Awards, I think, to validate and make it more serious than it actually is, where it's like, let's just enjoy the game. If you enjoy the game, great. If it doesn't get nominated for a bunch of things or win a bunch of awards, it shouldn't take away from your enjoyment. And it shouldn't be this like angry thing when Spider-Man 2 doesn't win any awards last year, and it's like, well, it's rigged. And it's like, no, it really just doesn't matter. Or whatever. Like, if Spider-Man 2 is your game of the year for last year, great. Like, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. So,
but I loved having those conversations last year, being like,
I like having the discussions too, because it's fun. It's supposed to be fun, and it's not fun when it becomes this like really vitriolic, hateful thing towards certain games, or like the way that games are propped up at the Game Awards and others aren't. It's like, it's supposed to be fun.
But I agree, but I also enjoy that, like, at the end of the day, the Game Awards allows for certain games to get like a huge light shined on them, and it's the celebration of the year, and I love putting stake into this complete celebration of like video games is a medium. If you love it and you really pay attention to it, it's a lot of work to go and play hundreds and hundreds of hours to like have a top 10 list. That means you put in hundreds of hours in gaming in the year. And so having a moment where you can have a little bit of stake and a little bit of fun with it, I'm all about it.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Game Awards. I think it's a super fun time. I just think that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Fair enough.
That's my take.
Best day of the year. My video game hot take for this week is about video game adaptations. It's a discussion we've had multiple times. I'm putting my foot down. Video game adaptations that are TV shows, thumbs up, good shit. Video game adaptations that are movies, get them the fuck out of here. We're talking about a medium that allows for character development and storytelling over 10, 15, 20 hours, 100 hours, and all of a sudden we're trying to go and shrink it down to a 2-hour movie. It doesn't make sense. You're going to lose a lot of the gas. And I understand that it's also the discussion about books turning into movies and the way that you have to cut out a lot of the fat and trim it out. But the way that gameplay is told, this is a visual medium already where you're going to be making those comparisons. And it's never, ever going to be able to be as good as a longer experience if that product of the longer experience is better and awesome in every way. Then when it comes to TV shows, it's like, yeah, okay. If you want to take The Last of Us, which is a 10-hour game, and put it into 8 hours of TV, sure, you're going to lose a little bit. You're going to lose certain voice lines or certain dialogue that you really enjoy. But like, it's okay because the overall product is still there. The meat is still on the bone. Arcane, it tells a full season's worth of TV that you're like, holy shit, the character development in this is awesome. Fallout, great show. But the movies normally suck for a reason where I'm like, yeah, Uncharted, it feels like a jam-packed mess because it's going through the greatest hits so fast of Uncharted that I don't really give a shit. TV shows, good. Movies, bad when it comes to video game adaptations.
I'll just go further and say TV show, good, movie, bad, just generally speaking. I almost always prefer a more drawn out, fleshed out world where you can spend more time with it and that you get that from television. And oftentimes it can feel really truncated in movies. So I prefer TV shows to movies, generally speaking. And definitely when it comes to adaptations, that is my preferred option, even though I'm not a big fan of adaptations in general. Alrighty, let's get into what we've been playing. And I'm going to kick it off with Jak and Daxter. Played this technically for the first time on the PlayStation 2 because I played it as a kid and didn't get through that first area because I didn't know how to get over the lava pit because I was a dumb child and didn't know where to go and what to do. So playing it now in 2024, what a game, dude. This game is so easy, breezy, beautiful, cover girl. It's awesome, dude. Like, it's just such a like digestible experience, such a digestible platform. I had played Astrobot and I was like, I kind of want another platforming experience. I want to play a classic on the PlayStation 2. I never beat Jak and Daxter. And just going into this collectathon, collecting your power cells, collecting your little orbs to buy power cells, like, it's just so fun. And the world design and the different environments are so interesting. The cartoony style allows for this game to hold up so well. I did forget that Jak doesn't talk. That freaked me out. It was like one of those like Bernstein Bears Mandela effect things where I was like, I could have sworn he talked, and apparently he does in 2 and 3, and that might be where that's from. But he doesn't talk. Daxter is so funny, so charismatic. When you get a power cell, he does like this like dance or whatever, and like slides across, or he does a different dance every single time. It's so cute and so funny, and to the point where like I would get a power cell and I would start doing something with him or whatever, like doing the little dance with him. That like I would sit down and be like, it's something that you can. And I'm just going to play an hour and get like 3 or 4 power cells and then go do something else. But like I would often find myself doing those 3 and 4 and be like, one more. And then before bed, all of a sudden it's midnight and I was trying to go to bed at like 10:30 because I'm just playing for so long that like it doesn't really push the boundary when it comes to narrative. Like I don't really remember a lot from this story, generally speaking. Like I understand like the overarching plot, but the villains are whatever. But it doesn't need that. Like when it comes to gameplay, it's not super complex by any means, but it's just straight up platforming fun. And when it comes to Sly Cooper, which I played earlier this year, I think that it gets a little bit lost in the sauce when it comes to like hitting things and like melee combat that I as the series goes on, it focuses more and more on different gameplay aspects. When I really enjoyed the platforming aspect of Sly Cooper, and Jak and Daxter like pulls that back and gives you mostly platforming, and I really enjoyed that. So different environments. You have your lava level, you have your ice level, you have your swampy forest level. But overall, presentationally, Naughty Dog crushed it. I really do love this game. I am less excited about Jak 2 because of that same instance where they had guns, and it's going to be more focused on shooting things rather than platforming. And I really just wanted that platforming experience, and Jak and Daxter gave it to me fully. Just really loved this game. Think it's like a rock solid 8 out of 10 experience. Holds up great, looks great, plays great. Not as tight as of an experience when it comes to the controls as I would like, but overall, highly recommend Jak and Daxter in 2024. I would like to play this on the PS Vita, which I'm talking about getting at Torg. They have like the collection, and I want to platinum. This is a prime platinum experience. If I buy Jak and Daxter on the Vita at Torg, I will get the platinum before the end of the year. Like just play it at work, just do like 15 minutes, 20 minutes at a time, just on my like little breaks, and just kind of chip away at that and get that platinum trophy.
By God,
it would be so good.
Are you more intrigued to go and play more platformers this year, coming off of this like hot streak you're on right now?
Not really, because I've already done Sly and Jak, and I don't really. I would
and
Astrobot. I would consider doing like another like a Ratchet and Clank like Upper Arsenal, because I haven't played that since I was a kid either. But that's another game that I could play on Vita, because they have the collection on Vita, the HD collection. So many good collections on Vita and PS3 that like I really want to get to. Vita, just the little engine they could. It's the trophy machine. That's what it's for.
It almost feels like too that the Vita was the Switch before the Switch when it comes to the ports, where it was just like, oh, like let's just make a collection and toss it on there because like it can.
I think the God of War games are on there, the originals or whatever, and then the PSP ones. Like, trophies on the go is such a game changer, and that's why I think something like a PlayStation ROG Ally or Steam Deck type experience is on the table, because there's freakos like me who just want to play their PlayStation games on the go, get trophies, and even if you could have a better experience playing something on a Steam Deck or an ROG Ally, it's like, I like my trophies. I'm ingrained in this ecosystem. I have a ton of games on there that I don't have platinums on that I would like to go and just kind of chip away at work, like when I have my break time. And that's perfect for a Vita or a future Sony handheld console that I just really want that.
If we get a future Sony handheld, you can finally get that Fall Guys platinum, because man, oh man, it's really difficult. But you have that one, right?
No.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, I do. I have that platinum.
Okay.
It's the most difficult platinum that either of us have. Best game in Call 64. Anyways, anything else on Jak?
No, that's it. I feel like I ranted and raved there for a while.
No, you're good, dude.
What a game, dude. It's been a while since I've played it, so like it's just weird to like kind of like have all these thoughts bubble back up and be like, oh yeah, that was really good. That was a good experience.
For me, I'm gonna hop in with the Lake House, because this is top of mind. I played this on Tuesday.
Alan Wake 2.
Alan Wake 2, the Lake House DLC. This was a little treat that Remedy gave us. A couple hours finishing out their back-to-back DLCs. Connor talked about Night Springs on this very podcast when that released. Connor surprised me. He was like, hey, I played Night Springs this weekend. It was fun. And then for me to go and be like, I just want that Lake House hit. For me, if you don't know, Alan Wake 2 is like not only one of my favorite games ever, but when I think of streaming and the year that I've had when it comes to the amount of streaming I've done, a few games like really stick with me of like, these were like my highlights. When obviously Elden Ring subathon, FF7 remake subathon, but like when I think of just the solo games I've streamed or done fun things with, Alan Wake 2 is like top of the fucking list, and how special that was last year. So I wanted that hit. I wanted just a little bit of fun in the Alan Wake / Control universe. And boy, oh boy, did I get it. Like this is just more Alan Wake goodness. We're a couple hours telling a really tight story about the Lake House, which is a facility by the I believe it's Cauldron Lake in Alan Wake 2, by the lake, where all this wacky shit is going down. You come in as a agent from the Federal Bureau of Control, which is the FBC, which also, dude, FBC, when that fucking comes out, Firebreak, you meet Brady, goddamn.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm so fucking excited. Anyways, and it's just a tight 2-hour horror experience.
Is it scary?
It is scary. The first monster you run into, you are not easily able to take them out, and you're just like, motherfucker. Like
Like a Mr. X type situation?
it's yes, not Mr. X where it's like one person that's solely tracking you down, but it's a similar feeling, that like gut pit feeling where it's like, oh, I can't do shit right now. And you're running around just trying to survive. Also, the way that this game gives you the taste of Alan Wake, of going and you run through a door and all of a sudden it loops you around and it's like, all right, we're just going through a loop now and we're just going to keep looping around. It's fucking dope. It's like, oh yeah, this is why I love this game so much. This is why this is the best horror game of all fucking time. And the way that they're able to have horror along with great character design, along with super interesting stories where you get so much more if you read everything. I started this and I was like, it's late. I just streamed Mass Effect. I don't want to read a bunch of shit after reading a bunch of shit in Mass Effect. And then slowly but surely, I was like, I'm actually kind of interested, so I'm going to read more. And then I read more. And then every single thing I kept on reading, every single note I picked up, I read more. The story of this entire facility is so fucking interesting. And I maybe want to explore more, maybe want to read more, maybe want to find all those nooks and crannies, not only to get a little bit more ammo as you do in horror games, but also just to be like, I just want to find another note. I just want to know more about these interesting characters that are being described in this plot. I freaking love this experience. I think that this is what I want from a DLC when it comes to a quick hit DLC, where it's like one night, a little bit of fun, great stream. The chat was super fun during it. Like, that's what I want from a little, hey, it's October 22nd. The spooky season's going in full effect. Have some fun in the Alan Wake universe. And then that's exactly what I did.
How about the length? 2 hours. That's short.
A little shorter than I wanted it to be for sure. But it's also compact. Like it's perfectly paced out, where some of the puzzles I never got too difficult, or were never too difficult, I never got too lost in, and I was like, great, next thing. There was one puzzle that I'm like, this is a little bit difficult. You're trying to like type in numbers into a key card and you have to remember previous rules that they give you and everything, but like, man, like it's a good 2 hours. So that's the thing where it's like, I don't want to take away from game length. The issue is it's a $20 DLC for Night Springs and the Lake House. Do I think it's necessarily worth $20? Sure. If you want more in Alan Wake 2, I mean, you're gonna want to play these types of things. But if like that's not your vibe, you're not gonna be interested in the first place. So I do think that it's worth it if you're like me and fucking love this game and love this universe and love what Remedy's doing. Honestly, any excuse to give Remedy more money. Like, I just want them to go and succeed in the highest form.
Does it feel good when it comes to looping it into Control? I heard that, I mean, obviously it's dealing with the FBC. Does it set that up interestingly?
When I played, I missed something that was a clear connection that a person on Discord was like, hey, you missed something, and then I've looked up on YouTube, and it does a great way of, like, but overall, this Remedy universe that they're building out is interesting and confusing, and you just want more and more questions. Like, every single time you get one answer, you're gonna get 5 more questions, and that's what this DLC does awesomely. Where I left it, I'm like, cool. So some shit happened, and now I'm even more confused. And they're like, that's Alan Wake, baby. Like, that's what they do. And it's all, like, I fucking love that shit. I love this game. I was talking to Sam, who we were talking about, like, favorite movies and stories. And I was like, dude, you would fucking love Alan Wake because it is the thing that is mind-bending and makes you want to think deeper about just all the aspects of this world. I loved hopping back into Alan Wake 2, and the Lake House was a great experience to do so. Will you get to this year?
Yeah, this is a PS5 Pro situation for me,
nice.
where I'm gonna wait to get those enhancements. PS5 Pro right around the corner. By the time you're listening to this, we're a week and a half out or so.
Yeah, 10 days.
And I'm thinking Final Fantasy 16 DLC.
Oh shit!
Hopefully it runs a little bit better because that game does not run great originally, even on performance mode. So we get through the rest of the game. We go do the DLC. Maybe do this Alan Wake DLC. Then we also have Dragon Age, which I might wait on.
Are you gonna hop into Rebirth again?
You see, this gives me some sort of excuse to do it again because I just want to feel those feelings again. It's very, very rare for me to platinum a game and come back to it. Usually I platinum a game and I'm never touching it ever again. Even my favorites, like Uncharted 4, I think about every once in a while, just like playing for fun. And I can't. I don't know why. After that platinum, I have not touched it since. So I'm thinking about it though with the PS5 Pro enhancements. So maybe for Rebirth, but Final Fantasy 16, the Lake House, Dragon Age, maybe Silent Hill 2. I want to go back to and get the platinum. Play that game without the radio on. Oh, that sounds so cool. Sounds so terrifying. I want to play it. So yeah, Silent Hill 2. I'm thinking about going back to, but yeah, I will get to the Lake House at some point.
Honestly, for FF7 Rebirth, for like a second playthrough and everything, it's like, man, do we really just want to go through the flashback again? Because the opening is a little bit slow. The second you open the doors into the grasslands in that game, I'm like, that might be my moment of the year. Like the feeling and emotion of like, oh, we're about to go on a fucking adventure.
The issue
is just so worthwhile.
I'll never be able to recapture that feeling of playing it for the first time because I don't want to redo all the open world aspects.
Okay.
Which I loved. I loved the open world aspects. I know that it's a little bit Ubisoft for a lot of people, but for me, the way that it is interwoven, I think it's perfect.
And it's there if you want it, and you don't have to do it. That's my big thing with it, where you don't have to do any of that.
It's so bloated with all the mini games. It's like you have to do 2 mini games for like 20 minutes, and everything else you don't have to touch like at all. Like, I don't understand that as a negative. And if you do want to engage with the mini games, they're some of the best mini games in video games ever. I love all of them, just about. There's like only one of them that I barely like kind of dislike. All right, next game.
You want to talk about this Last Guardian game?
The Last Guardian is next up. Played this on a little bit of a whim. I have no idea why I chose this game. Nick was giving me a little bit of shit about it. He's like, why?
We're busy in general when it comes to the review slate. And then Connor's had multiple moments this year where I'm reviewing something and then he's like, oh, I'm just going to play X, Y, and Z. And normally, for some reason, it makes sense. I'm like, oh, like even Jack and Dexter, I'm just like, yeah, well, cool, have fun.
Sure.
But The Last Guardian, I was like, why? I could not piece it together. And you're like, I kind of want to do a return to retro on it, but like I don't know if like PS3. And I'm just like, it's a whole thing of just.
It's a PS4 game.
Oh, so then it was a different game. We were talking about. I completely forget what PS3 game. What maybe Killzone.
Yeah,
it was Killzone. Anyways, but I was just like, what are we doing here? And surely enough, Connor, you came in glowing multiple times while playing this game.
Yeah, I think this game is extremely special. I love The Last Guardian. I had like a really emotional connection to this game when I was playing it, but it also has major flaws. And this is where I think that being critical about something you love comes into play. Like, if I was just going purely off emotion, like in how this made me feel, like it's like one of the most magical experiences I've ever had playing a video game in my entire life. Like the connection between the main character and Trico is so special, and the world that is built out around you leaves so many questions, but is so unique and interesting and weird. But the gameplay is essentially non-existent. You're constantly pointing for Trico to go do something, and he's not listening because he's a pet dog, bird, animal thing, and that's what bird, dog, animals do. They don't listen. If you have a pet, you know that they can be frustrating sometimes. So, like, is that good game design? No. But like, is it realistic in quotes? Maybe, but like it's a weird, unique experience when it comes to ordering this dog around. But when he's jumping from thing to thing and like, or coming up on a ledge behind you, and the noise that it makes, this massive beast, like he's thunderously like plopping onto a ledge, and it's like it's so like cinematic in so many ways when he catches you like as you're falling, and like you'll be like falling through the air and you're like, Trico, and he'll like come down and grab you at the last second and pick you up by your shirt. It's so cinematic and cool. Like I don't know, it just got me. It worked for me, but I get it not working for a lot of other people. The camera in this game is a total mess. Not only will it, like, you know, like the camera sometimes if it gets caught on something, it'll freak out in a game. It'll just go black. It'll just, the screen will turn off until you move it into like a more into a better spot, which is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my entire life for a camera to do. It's like, is this really the solution that we went with to just get by this? So I don't think that's designed well at all. You're constantly fighting with the camera. You're constantly fighting with Trico. The game is constantly pushing against you, and I don't think that is very good game design. But when it comes to the emotional aspect of this game, when it comes to the story, when it comes to the bond between the two characters, when it comes to the world design and where the story goes and how it plays with your heartstrings, I love this game. I think it's like a 7 out of 10 though.
Okay.
Like I think that it has major problems, but when it comes to the emotional aspect, I think that I will never forget my experience with The Last Guardian. I think I can recommend this to a few people, like if you're really into animals and like have a strong bond with your cat or dog and kind of like that experience, then maybe like you would enjoy this. But like that's such a unique thing to specify and be like you would like this for this. And even then, like I don't know if you really get aggravated when it comes to controls or camera or whatever. Like the main mode of gameplay in this game is throwing barrels to your dog or like platforming, and when you're oftentimes will be like I want to go to that ledge, and you'll like kind of point yourself towards it, and the kid will just like go off and fly through the air, and it's like, well, okay, like that's not what I meant to do at all. So like there's just a laundry list of flaws when it comes to this game, but like I love it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's frustrating to talk about this and really kind of express my feelings on it, but I love The Last Guardian.
Yeah,
So.
I got a couple questions for you, but first, just a statement. God, please play Neva. That game's gonna fucking like all the emotions you're just talking about right now, and you're like, but the gameplay and the camera sucks. I'm like, oh my god, dude, those emotions are just so fucking good in that game. It's the same type of emotions. But when you were discussing this, part of me was wondering, similarly, you talk the way you talk about this game feels similar to the way you talk about Journey. Is it the emotion similar to like cinematically grandiose and everything, but the gameplay is just not there compared to something like Journey?
Yeah.
Or is it the length at a certain point? Does it like just be like, whatever?
Journey, when it comes to like its presentation, its story, and its gameplay, I don't think it's actively fighting against you in the way that The Last Guardian is. And I think that Journey does something really unique when it comes to multiplayer, when it comes to co-op. And I think that kind of sets it apart and makes it really special. And then when it comes to like the music and the story and saying something without saying something, there's no words in Journey, but like it's clearly telling a story and somehow finding that emotion without saying anything. I think Journey is like really special. And I think that The Last Guardian hits a lot of those similar notes when it comes to the swelling of the music and certain cinematic moments really like kind of pulling something out of you without saying something. Like I think it does that very well, very similarly to Journey, but I think Journey is a different kind of experience because it's very accessible. It's not actively fighting against you. There's not like a flaw when it comes to the camera or like just like basic stuff when it comes to platforming. I think the Journey functions very well. It's not a complicated game. It's not like the best platformer ever made or something like that. It's just it's trying to just be easy and breezy, but also tell you the story or tell you or like elicit this emotion. Whereas The Last Guardian is doing similar things, but is actively fighting against you in multiple moments when it comes to the camera, when it comes to the gameplay, when it comes to the platforming. Yeah,
Cool.
So.
Anything else on The Last Guardian?
No, but I just want to keep reiterating that I this is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
I love it to death. And it was one of the, it's like 12 hours. It's not very long. You can experience it over a few days. I used the guide. Oh, the readability in this game, terrible. Like on like where you're supposed to go, like how you're like, I was lost
Level
constantly.
design
I was
is
just like
not great.
there's like vines that you have to like climb up, like or like moss on a wall that you can climb up, and I'm like, there's no like tutorial or anything that tells you like, oh, you can do that. And I could swear there was other like green patches on walls earlier in the game where it's like, I didn't know that I could do that. And then now all of a sudden it's like, that's how I progress. And it's like, I'm looking up a guide and I'm like, oh, duh. But like, also, why is there no, I don't love hand holding in games. This game needs a little bit more hand holding for sure, because there's no readability to the environments or like what you're supposed to do or how you're supposed to do something half the time. So yeah, it can be a little frustrating that way. So,
all right. My next game is a little title called Mass Effect 1. Okay. This game is okay. It is, I would give it like a 6 out of 10-ish type game. It starts out really strong, in my opinion. Like, the idea that you get set off an adventure and you need to take out this big bad named Saren, and there's a deeper like plot going along with it. But
the Reaper threat.
Yeah, there's a threat that'll just like, oh shit, like this is shit's gonna hit the fan eventually. Like we need to be there to stop it. Let's get a crew together. Let's have some fun. Let's go on this awesome space adventure. And then that's like the first 2.5 hours is everything that's happening like on the Citadel and the nightclub and just like all go here, do this. The Citadel level design is like really rough. And the way
Horrible.
horrible,
Those elevator rides? Are you kidding me?
but like the general concept of what's happening, I was like, okay, I'm interested. I'm really trying to like this game. Like at the start of it, I'm like, oh, and I'm having a good time. By the time halfway through the second stream, so about like 3.5 hours in, I was like, okay, the gameplay is what it is, and that's fine.
It's not very good.
It's all right. Cover shooter. This is very Xbox 360, but it almost feels like Xbox OG.
But it's interesting the way that if you play Mass Effect 1, you're like, fine cover shooter. And then you play Mass Effect 2, and it's like, it's not a great cover shooter by any means, but holy crap, it feels
way
so
better.
much better.
It's way better. And like the addition of actually having ammo and the way that like you swing and jump over certain hurdles, into it's just like way fucking better. It's like a huge step up where it's almost like, all right, it's a generation step up in my opinion, where I'm like at Mass Effect 1, even though it is a Xbox game or a 360 game, it feels like it is a Xbox original game. Like it really feels stilted in that way. And then you get set off on this story, and I swear it's like there's a moment where we're like, we know where Saren is. It's like, let's go fucking get him. It's like, no, we need more information. I'm like, and then it's the same exact mission structure. You're doing the same fucking thing over and over and over again, and like this game could have been 6 hours and been really great, but because it just drags out the entire time, the finale at a certain point for me, I was like, I should care more. Like, this is cool, what you're trying to tell me is cool, but it's not, because you like, I'm a wrung out towel at this point, and I got nothing left to give like in this game. And then it sets you off on an interesting path in Mass Effect 2, which I am like fucking loving. Like this game's awesome.
The reasons that I like Mass Effect 2 are not present in Mass Effect 1, like at all.
No,
like I like the decision making. That's cool. Like I'm about that, but it's about building the team and like those relationships and those dynamics. And I feel like you don't get that as much in Mass Effect 1 at all.
I also feel like the relationship aspect in Mass Effect 1, even though like I went out of my way to talk to a lot of people and make sure that I was building a relationship with Liara and trying to understand why people really like Garrus and everything, and having that back and forth. There's a moment in Mass Effect 2 where you run into a character from Mass Effect 1, and the dialogue is so fucking quippy and well written, and I'm like, oh, you guys are old time friends meeting again, and this is how you meet and talk with it. Like, I hung out with my buddy Sam earlier this week. I haven't seen him in a couple months. He's my old friend. Immediately, we're shooting the shit. Immediately, we're making fun of each other a little bit. Immediately, we're having like this back and forth that is so easily defined as friendship, where that just doesn't exist in the first one in any of the dialogue. It's so forced. It's so stilted. It's like, do you want to hang out? It's like, no, what are we doing? That's not how people talk. That's not how friends talk. That's not how people in relationships talk. And so to go in and just be like, I've seen the light of Mass Effect 2, and a lot of people ask me, are you going to play Mass Effect 3 after 2? If I were to just play Mass Effect 2, I would 100% be like, I want to play Mass Effect 3 now. But I'm almost like, just like, for the time being, I'm going to finish Mass Effect 2 and be done for a bit, just because Mass Effect 1 just was so tough to get through in the first place. And yeah, like, it's an okay game. It's all right. It does some things well when it comes to just like the overarching story and being a cool space adventure. I'm like, okay, this is a game. But I think about my experience with Star Wars Outlaws, another like space adventure earlier this year. I'm like, okay, the gameplay feels, well, not just because it's more modern, but like the gameplay in general is like, oh, this is like a really good cover shooter. Like, oh, this game has like not the best story, but like there's at least trying to do new stuff every now and then by putting you on different planets with different characters and trying to like progress a few different through lines. Like, there's different narratives happening at once. Even though I'm not interested, at least they're different, where this is just all the same the entire fucking time. And it's just like, what are we doing? So shout out to Connor for being like, you don't need to play Mass Effect 1, just play 2. And I was like, dude, I need to play some bad games in my life. Like, I need to play some games that aren't just 10 out of 10 masterpieces. And surely enough, I'm like, Connor, I'm doing that way less if I can help it, because man, oh man, that game is just okay.
That's the whole thing with like, why play mid games when you can play great games.
Yeah.
Like there's so many great games. There's too many great games.
But I did want to understand the story and the dynamics, especially like there's moments where you come back together with certain teammates and everything in this game, and it's just fucking awesome.
The groundwork that it lays when it comes to the sci-fi world with the different the factions when it comes to like the Turians and the Solarians and the Asari and like those political dynamics and like the genophage and the Turian human war that happened when they made that first contact. Like that's cool shit. Like the humans go through the mass relay and they find the Turians and they just start fucking them up because they're like, well, we have to be hostile. Like we don't know what the fuck is going on. And like that's good shit. It feels like a very lived in world and universe, that there's stuff going on, that there's a lot of history here. I think that when it comes to laying that groundwork, Mass Effect 1 is goated. Like, I respect Mass Effect 1 because it gives us Mass Effect 2. But when it comes to actually playing Mass Effect 1, it's a lot of okay and a lot of bad. I think that at the very best, the gameplay, the shooting is okay.
Yeah.
The Mako, bad. Do not like being in that thing.
Bad.
When it comes to like getting the characters together, I don't like it nearly as much as I do in 2 and 3. That's not nearly as fun.
It's not even just getting them together and it not being fun. It's getting them together, and then once they're together, all the dynamics are still not earned, and they don't really make sense.
It doesn't feel like I'm building this relationship, this friendship with anybody. It just feels like, oh, now they're there. And like technically you can have those like more in-depth conversations and get more backstory, but it doesn't feel like I'm building something. Whereas like those loyalty missions and having those dynamics go such a long way in building those character dynamics.
The loyalty missions are the secret sauce of the game, where for me, I like the introductory missions are great. Like where every single introductory mission where you're getting a new teammate, all those missions are different enough. So that's the other thing. Nothing really feels exactly the same when it comes to the different characters you have on the team, which like it's insane the roster that they're able to construct and how different everyone is.
Maybe the best cast, like for the amount that you have and how strong they are across the board, like in anything. Like there's 12, 14, like something like that. There's a lot of characters.
Dozen-ish,
because with the DLC and everything, that like there's a lot of characters and all of them are good. Like Zaid is probably the worst, and he's a DLC character, and he still has interesting, like his loyalty mission is very interesting and very cool. So
and I'm having a great time with 2. And, like I don't know if at the end of the day with 2 I'm gonna be 10 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, but I can easily
wait till the end, my boy.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. We'll see where it goes, but I'm having a blast with it. And though all I need to go in, like the way that I know I'm having a lot more fun is Mass Effect 1. Every single time after the second stream, I was dreading streaming, and I always shout out our chat being like, thank fucking God y'all are here and are awesome to make this experience better, because the gameplay alone isn't. Whereas Mass Effect 2, I'm like, I obviously the chat's still amazing and still doing their thing, but it's like I'm actually able to enjoy what we're doing, so I'm not 24/7 only focused on chat. Right. It's great. What's up next for you?
You're about like halfway through Mass Effect 2
a little bit, probably? Like probably around there.
Yeah.
For me, I'm doing all the loyalty missions. I'm doing all of the getting together missions. The hard part is I've already started, like initially like begun Jack and Miranda's mission by just talking to them, and then like they're like, oh, like let's do this, and that it's now an option to set off that way. And for me, the most interesting characters and some of the dynamics that I'm appreciating the most in these games are the relationship dynamics. And at the end of the day, Jack's my person. I'm a tattoo person, so sure. And I want to set off on that mission. That's the mission I'm most excited to go.
She has a great
mission. And like I've already turned the page to like kind of see like sneak peek what it's going to be by having that conversation with her, and she's like, I want to fuck these people up, and you're just like, yes, mommy, like come on, like let's go. So I want to do those missions, but like Jacob's mission was fucking great, and like that's a character that I wasn't bringing in the party too often.
You did more in
I think so, yeah.
With the genophage and like, should we destroy this? Should we let them? Like, I think that genophage political dynamic is fascinating.
Yeah,
like very well done, very cool. Like, It's so
Dude,
interesting.
Grunt's side mission was like, oh my
Yeah,
god.
he wants to feel like an actual Krogan, so he has to like go do his
Krogan
right.
trials?
Oh my
Are you
God,
fucking
it's
kidding?
so cool.
Like,
You find that big monster.
yeah,
Like, it's so cool.
Oh, dude, well, it was really funny. In the bottom right corner it says survive for 5 minutes, and I'm like, oh, so we're just trying to survive.
Halo
Like,
Reach.
and then all of a sudden I was like, wait, I can light this dude up, and then I took it out with like 10 seconds left. I was like, yes, like no, Mass Effect 2. Well, so now we're also just talking a little bit about Mass Effect 2. If you haven't noticed, it's been awesome. Like, it's been one of those experiences that I'm so thankful that people have pressured me into doing this. It is, in my opinion, like the cap off on this year of gaming for me, where I feel like I did everything I had to do when it came to playing a lot of the greatest hits, and Mass Effect 2 was one of those that like I was like, we'll try to get to it this year, and then now getting through it and like doing the whole thing, I'm like, okay, next year's stream schedule is a lot more difficult on me because there's a lot less of these like all timers that I haven't played. There's still a few out there, but like Mass Effect 2, surely enough, is an all timer.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Lastly, for me, before we get into stuff that we've both been playing a little bit into, because you touched Black Ops 6 a little bit.
Yeah, 3 hours.
Outside of the
so Thursday night it comes in and I immediately boot up and I played till about 3:30 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you not see the conversation?
I feel like I remember that.
Yeah. I go and all of a sudden me and Lee in our Discord are just like, oh man, this is gonna be bad for the sleep schedule, dude.
Dude, everybody's been playing it and it's been a blast. And I need to go play Metaphor. I need to play more Metaphor, but I'm like, it's so easy to just play some Call of Duty.
I was listening to Kyle Bossman's exit interview on MinMax playing Black Ops 6. We're talking about Black Ops 6 now. Let's just hop in because I just want to finish up my point and then I'll let you spur on about what you've played in this game thus far. But first hour I'm playing, I have like Andy Cortez up in the corner, like slightly going, and I'm just playing this game and listening to something else. And then I play a few more rounds with nothing on, and then I go and throw on this exit interview from Bossman, who I think Kyle Bossman is fucking awesome, and what he does with the Game Awards and his whole career is super interesting. So I'm listening to this interview, and I'm like sitting back, playing, listening. I'm like, this is like some of the happiest I've been this entire year when it comes to gaming. Where is this the greatest game ever? Will it be in my top 10? Probably not. But am I having a fucking blast with this multiplayer experience? Absolutely. And the fact I've heard multiple things, even since we last talked about like what Andy said on his stream and somebody popping in there. I even saw another article today being like, oh, the campaign in this game fucking rocks too. So I'm like, I just want more of this. And I understand, and our audience is very clear. They're like, live some life, like make sure you're still having fun and doing what you need to do. But this is a prime example where it's like there's always, if I'm doing something else, then I'm sacrificing game time. And this is one of those where I'm like, the sacrifice really sucks because the game's really fucking good. Connor, how do you feel about BO6 thus far?
Yeah, Black Ops 6 initial impressions, I'm loving it. It's a great time. It's video game junk food. I'm not the hardcore Call of Duty grind your different weapon skins and level up your guns. That's not ever been who I am. But with that in mind, I have a ton of history playing Black Ops 1, 2, and 3, Modern Warfare's. Modern Warfare 2019 was the last one that I really loved, really was into. And now this does feel like coming home. Like Cold War totally put me off. I didn't even pick up Vanguard. I was like, no, I'm good. Modern Warfare 2 and 3. I'm just like, I'm done with Call of Duty. And there's just so much buzz around BO6 for some reason that it just feels like everybody's coming home to Black Ops. And so far with the multiplayer, it's just a blast. The movement feels great. I thought Omni movement might be a little bit too much, but for the most part, like it's pretty accessible and pretty easy to kind of just like get into that flow, but feels like there's a cap to it that I haven't hit yet, where I certainly can be doing more with it. And I'm excited to kind of experience that. But playing with the community so far, playing all the different game modes, all been a blast. There's some weaker maps than others. I think there's some highlights for sure. I really like that Skyline map quite a bit, the one that's on the rooftop. I think that one's so fun. So I've been enjoying some of the maps, enjoying a lot of the modes. But overall, I think that the multiplayer just feels like classic, great Call of Duty, and it's good to be back with that. Zombies, played one match of Zombies. I'm just such an old head when it comes to this. I'm an old curmudgeon. Black Ops 2 and 3, that's what it's all about. I don't want health bars. I don't want armor plates. And it has that still. It is Cold War again. Like, it looks a little bit better when it comes to Terminus. But man, like why can't we just have classic zombies back? And I know that a lot of people are like, you're never going to get it back. This is the future. This is what it is. Just take it for what it is. And it's like, I can't. I'm sorry. The only thing that I want is Black Ops 3 again and more of that style of zombies. And I don't know why they won't give it to us. And I feel like almost universally, this opinion is what it is, where people want Black Ops 3 zombies again. And it's not that. I'm excited to get into the campaign. I will play the campaign. I wasn't planning on it. And now that I've heard that it's really great from a lot of people, I think I'm in. And apparently it's quick. So like I'll get through that and enjoy it. But Black Ops 6 being a game that I probably will be playing for the rest of the year was not on my bingo card, and here we are. Yeah, I'm going to be playing for the rest of the year.
It's so exciting.
Playing with community has been a blast.
Yeah.
Like, so if you don't listen, if you listen to the podcast and are not in the Discord, join the Discord. If you're playing Call of Duty, we're playing it a bunch. We have too many people to be. Oftentimes we have to split into two different parties because we have
two different voice chats.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been one of those experiences that it's going to be all about the community. It's going to be all about playing with y'all, and like I can't wait to figure out where I end up with this. It's a similar sense to Helldivers and Marvel Rivals later this year, where it's like the amount of hours that I'm going to put in this is an issue. But what was definitely not on my bingo card was you getting into it the way that you are and how fucking exciting that is. This is like the first time that you've been excited about a COD in a very long time. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I kind of got this vibe from the beta, but like I do think that playing with other people is the secret sauce for me.
I mean, yeah.
Where it's like I just like you need that kind of back and forth. The comebacks have been fun. We've won certain matches like by like very few points.
Are you rocking any S&D yet?
I played one match of Search and Destroy, and I don't like Search and Destroy.
I fucking love Search and Destroy. It's so good.
It's not what COD is for me. COD's supposed to be this arcadey fun, like frantic, like get a kill, go. Search and Destroy, you're supposed to play it a little bit slower, and I don't want to play Call of Duty slow.
I love it so
If I want to play something
much.
slow, I'm going to go play Valorant, which is a better experience, and it's the same type of game mode.
I understand, but like it's similar sense of, yeah, sure, it's a little bit more tactical playing something like Valorant, but there's still a lot of technique that comes into Search and Destroy with where I close out my night on Thursday going into Friday. It is 2:30 in the morning and I just go and I select the playlist and I just go to Search and Destroy and I'm like, oh, we're so fucking back. It feels great. The gunplay in this game is fucking awesome. Time to kill is awesome. I'm excited to the campaign will. The goal's got to be for me to beat it by Thursday before Dragon Age, or else I'm just not going to get to it this year.
Yeah, it's funny. Laura was like, "What are you gonna be?" Because we're double shooting podcasts today because we have Torg next weekend. She's like, "What are you gonna be home by like 9?" And I was like, "I have no idea." Like,
I mean,
it
we're
literally,
cooking right
it literally
now.
could be 9 p.m., but I think we're gonna get out of here earlier than I thought.
Probably like 3.
And I'm gonna get to play Call of Duty and Metaphor tonight. Oh my goodness! Watch some football on the other screen. It's gonna be great.
For me, this is one of those prime examples where I'm like, I have 2 weeks worth of editing to get done before Torg and everything, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be. You got a little hair? Thank you. I'm gonna be spacing out my editing quite a bit to like allow myself to play COD tonight, allow myself to play Metaphor tonight if I want to hop in there. Metaphor for me is my late night game right now, where like
I can't do it.
It allows me to get an hour or so in. Connor, where are you at with Metaphor?
Yeah, I can't do Metaphor late night because I think that this game on paper, I respect everything about it. I think that it is great. It is so impressive when it comes to the design of the menus and the world and the characters and the music and the like the HUD for when you're in your turn-based battles. I think that the gameplay has started to open up. I got through the first main dungeon last night, and I think that it's great. I'm just not feeling like playing it for some reason. It's a me thing. It's not a you thing is the situation when it comes to Metaphor right now. There is so much to the tutorial in this game. They are explaining stuff constantly. And then even when they're not explaining stuff, it feels like the story is so spread out that when you're actually in like the dungeons in this first dungeon, it's been stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. Like where I just feel like I'm not getting this momentum that I need to carry me through for long play sessions. I feel like I'm playing 20 minutes and then I'm like, I'm going to go grab a drink. 20 minutes, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to look at my phone for a little bit. Like I've not sunk into it the way that I thought I would playing the demo for the first like couple hours. And I do feel like I'm getting that momentum a little bit now that I'm through that first dungeon, that I want to see the full picture. I want to see the full, like, what is playing this game for 5 hours without being interrupted by a tutorial? What is it where like I'm not doing that stop go and getting that the little it's oftentimes little story bits where it's like a few lines of dialogue, let's get back into the gameplay. A few lines of dialogue, back into the gameplay, where it's like I just want to play the game and not be interrupted. And it feels like there's been a lot of that early on. With that all being said, I'm having a good time with it.
Yeah.
It's just not hitting in the way that I want it to because of where I'm at right now. Like I'm tired with work, and it's a lot of reading and a lot of learning and a lot of trying to understand different systems, and it's making me eepy. Like if I'm playing it late at night, I get tired. Like we're finishing out stream and I'm like, I'm going to play an hour like at 11 o'clock. And it's like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't. But when it comes to the characters, the characters that have been introduced are all excellent. Stroll, Hulkenberg, I think is her name. The fairy that's with you, great. I think it's the same voice as Morgana from Persona 5. So that kind of freaks me out. But it's like a little bit uncanny. But yeah, there's so much to love about it. I think the music has really grown on me. I always liked the music, but then the combat music I thought would
combat music, bro.
I thought it would grate on me a little bit. It hasn't. It's honestly just gotten better and better. I love the themes of this game when it comes to the way it's telling its story, and I think that it was a little bit heavy-handed early on, but I think that as it's gone on, it's gotten a little bit more nuanced, a little bit better. So I'm really interested when it comes to that. I think that once you get to like what the main plot is of this game, which is where I assume the demo ended, I think that shit's really cool. Yeah. I think that like that core premise of the driving force of why you're doing this and how you're handling going about probably the next 70 hours of gameplay, I think is really cool. So I'm more hooked in now because of that. I think that first dungeon is not the best. It's fine. It's good. It's not like Kamoshida's Palace in Persona 5 which is I hated Kamoshida and wanted to go fuck him up. He is a villain through and through. Yeah. And the guy that you're going after in this first palace is bad. He's a bad guy, but it doesn't have that emotional like, oh, I'm going to go beat the fuck out of this guy.
Kamoshida's Palace in P5. Connor knows that I've played the first like 30, 40 hours of P5, and you're right. It's that emotional like, we're going to go fuck this dude
when you go to steal his heart and the music so good, dude. Like it's so great in Persona 5, and that was where it hooked me, where I was like, oh, I'm gonna be obsessed. And then I played 14 hours every day for like 2 weeks straight.
So for me, last week, Connor knows this, the audience that watches our streams knows this, I was on stream for 18 hours. Yeah. So I was just, there wasn't a lot of late night gaming time for me. I would either be in a late night session or I would be coming off of a late night session. So I'm tired. So I just go to bed after stream. And I really want to play more Metaphor, but what I've played of it thus far, it's fucking great. Like this shit's awesome. This team knows what they're doing so well. It's almost like what?
No, go ahead.
It's almost like when you have a director and a cast that has done multiple movies together, and you're just like, oh, you know that how they're fucking gonna do it and like get after it.
This is why it's frustrating to me, just around the conversation about like game of the year and the discussion around that. Like, duh, this game was going to be fucking amazing.
Yeah.
This game was going to be in the 90s. It's the Persona 3, 4, and 5 team. It's Atlas. Like, what did you think was going to happen? If Metaphor wasn't on your shortlist for guaranteed to be nominated for Game of the Year, you do not know ball. Like, this was obvious. It was clear as day that this game was going to be fucking awesome.
For me, I just need to say this. This is not my hot take for this week, but this might get broken out. For me, the short list right now for Game of the Year is number 1 Metaphor, number 2 Final Fantasy for the best chance to win it.
No, Astrobot. Why not Astrobot?
So my reasoning is the passion that is persisting of like what is the best of the best on the year. The way that people are talking about Metaphor and the way that people are talking about Final Fantasy reminds me a lot more of the discussion around things like Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring compared to the guaranteed things of bangers like Tears of the Kingdom and God of War Ragnarok that lost the last couple of years. Astrobot feels a little bit more like God of War Ragnarok and Tears in this scenario, where the more interesting and pushing the medium forward games and telling extremely interesting stories. I think that this is one of those years that you want to give the nod to something that is really, really special compared to something that is just obviously great. Like Astrobot is great. Like it is undoubtedly fucking unbelievable. And for a platformer to do what Astrobot did and be the celebration of PlayStation that it is, I would like you, me, and Brady would all cheer and stand up and get really excited. But I think that on these panels and the way that people are going to be discussing it, Metaphor and Final Fantasy VII are going to be the pushes. The way that I see right now, the polling work for all the Keeley stuff and the IGN's polls, remake or Rebirth is smashing those. It's dominating.
I think that general audience is just different than the way that critics.
I understand, but then also guess what? When you look at the critical aspects of this, those are the 3 highest reviewed games.
But here's what I'm going to say though. Like if you're going to have somebody review Metaphor, you're going to have the JRPG guy, the Persona guy review Metaphor.
But it's also getting more people in than normal.
I agree. But Astrobot is universal. Like anybody can play Astrobot. Anybody can enjoy Astrobot.
You want to know what's pretty funny? Same thing about Tears of the Kingdom compared to Baldur's Gate 3, where this is a little bit more niche and a little bit. I think so.
I think Baldur's Gate is less niche than Metaphor. Just being anime, as anime nonsense, and people just are totally turned off by.
It sold 1 million copies in like a day. That doesn't fucking happen, dude.
For Atlas and for this studio, yes, it does.
It happened for Persona 5. That's it.
Exactly.
But not Persona 3.
They have been on this upward trajectory constantly.
I'm just saying that I'm at the point that if I were to have to put chips on it, like no joke, if I were a betting man on this,
I put on Astrobot.
My third bet would be Astrobot.
So fast. I mean, if Metaphor won, or if better yet, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth won, I would be stoked.
Yeah,
I'm going to be excited for. Astrobot feels like the guarantee for me at this point, where it's the boring answer. Where like last year, Baldur's Gate 3 winning was the boring answer. Where it's like it was obvious.
No,
so
I don't think it was.
Right? I think Astrobot this year is like, yeah. I think that's.
I think that the way that people are going to be. My question is, if you're at an outlet, those 3 things will be there forever, and that like they will. This might be a weird scenario where it might come down to fan voting when it comes to this 90%, because every single outlet will have those 3 games there. Every single one. I don't know of an outlet that can like or can be convinced that Rebirth, Metaphor, or Astrobot is undeserving of a spot on a Game of the Year, top 6, top 7, whatever you have to submit for that. I think though that it's going to be Metaphor or Rebirth at this point. I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm stoked to play more Metaphor. This game is fucking awesome. Metaphor is fucking awesome.
Yeah. And it's another one of those things. I was talking to the guys about this, where like coming off Silent Hill 2, which was such a rip roaring adventure when it came to like me just being hooked in, press forward, go. And then, like I could sit there and play for hours, and it wasn't like a lot of reading. It was like a lot of just kind of like immersion. This just with the amount of like, I know that like it's reading. Like I like JRPGs that are like all text based, but sometimes it just kind of makes me a little eepy. It just does.
Dude, I will say the eepiness factor is 100% there. When I had my longer play session, I grabbed a coffee beforehand to make sure that I was good to go. And then when I finished playing, I had Braden call me, and I was like, oh, gotta have this conversation while being tired. Like, and that is not a conversation you want to have, trust me. But yeah, I'm really excited to play more of this. This is one of those that, like, the plan as of right now is this is going to get nominated for Game of the Year, duh. And then I'm going to do a lot of crazy fun streaming in December.
All right, let me talk about Guitar Hero 3 for a little bit here. On a whim, on a random Sunday, I was like, fuck it. We're going to play all of Guitar Hero 3. We're going to see if I can beat this game on Expert for the first time. I was not successful. Those last few songs in Guitar Hero 3 on Expert are impossible, and not in a fun way. Like, that's the thing. When it comes to Rock Band, in my opinion, between Rock Band 1 and Guitar Hero 3, which I think are, in my opinion, should be considered the GOATs for the rhythm game, guitar game tier list. Guitar Hero 3's track list, weak, in my opinion.
Yeah.
When it comes to the actual songs. When it comes to playing them on guitar, quite fun, quite enjoyable. But I don't like a lot of these songs. Like Threes and Sevens is a major highlight. Paint It Black, The Seeker. These are good songs that I like these songs. But then there's other songs on here that I just enjoy playing in the game that are quite fun. But your fingers are moving in such a ridiculous way in Guitar Hero 3 that it's not fun. Like I'm getting old. It's scary. I had a workplace injury from playing Guitar Hero 3 on Sunday where my fingers hurt so bad for days and days after it. My middle finger still feels kind of numb from the because I have one of those classic Guitar Hero 2 guitars for PlayStation 2 where it has like the little line on the yellow piece, and that my finger pressing into that, I guess it just messed up my finger. So I was shredding. I was having a good time. Like it was one of those situations where, similar to Jack and Daxter, where I was like, I'm just gonna play like 2 more songs. I'm gonna finish this like block of songs, and then I'm gonna go play something else. Just played the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
It just went for the entire day, and it was fun. It was a good time. But man, like when it comes to Rock Band 1, like I can play all those songs in Expert until the last song, Greengrass and High Tides. And Greengrass and High Tides is really fucking difficult.
But it's fun.
And I can't beat it, but I love trying.
Yeah.
Whereas every single time I'm playing one of those last few songs of Guitar Hero through, I am not having fun, and it is impossible. Like, it's just not possible. Like, I don't like it. It's not fun.
I got a quick question for you. When you're playing Guitar Hero or Rock Band by yourself, are you standing up or sitting down?
Sitting down.
So I have a quick little
I'm also playing on my CRT TV.
Yeah.
Oh, no lag. Oh, it's so perfect. I can't go back.
I went and Connor knows this. I got Rock Band 4 start of 2023 and I had a great time with it. The second day I got Rock Band 4 and we like did some DLC songs. I was like, I'm gonna play through the story of Rock Band 4. And I don't sit when I play Guitar Hero or Rock Band. I will always stand. And boy, oh boy, I stood for 14 hours. And I ate one meal. I got a coffee at 10 a.m. and then I played till 2 a.m. And there was a really funny moment where my roommate walks in and he's just like, "You're still going after it?" I'm like, "Still going after it." And he's like, "Have you eaten in a while?" I'm like, "No." And he's just like, "Like, sit down for a bit." And I go, "I can't." Because my legs were like
power stance.
I was power stance out and I'm just shredding along. And my legs hurt so fucking much where I went to bed. And my legs finally like were able to like go and like become a little bit closed and everything. And I was like, this might be the best feeling I've ever had in my entire life because it was just so brutal on the other side.
Hard day's work shredding the guitar.
Dude, oh man. If we were playing Shred Dead Redemption that day, my friend. It was awesome. Like you know my opinion on Rock Band and that entire series and franchise where like it's the best of the best. Someone that you fucking love music too. Like it's
super fun.
It's the best. It's so fucking good. Let's talk about a little game called Until Dawn, Connor.
Hit me, Nick.
It's a good time.
This on stream.
It's a good time. Like
second scariest game of all time, according to that list we just did.
You want to know something funny?
Wild.
So we did that list. I went and did the edit for that list because it was the second week of edits on Monday. Oh, so like I did everything for week 1 on Sunday, and then I started editing week 2 stuff on that Monday. That Monday, the list got refreshed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they updated it for spooky season. Until Dawn moved to number 7.
Okay, that's way
so
more
it's
fair.
no longer number 2. Silent Hill 2 remake got thrown up high on there too.
Oh, nice.
So like there was a lot of changes. So I had to just listen to the. Normally I now just go and copy and paste and like order it so everything's spelled correctly, and I go straight from the list. But I had to reorder things and everything. But it is no longer the second scariest game according to that site, which is very funny.
The game is not scary at all.
I agree. It's kind of.
Oh yeah, you agree. You jumped
jumping
hard.
Yeah. No, the jump scares doesn't mean like it's deep rooted. Like Silent Hill 2 fucks you up. Like this just is like one of those cheap.
Silent Hill 2, Resident Evil 2, I think are. Oh, and Resident Evil 7, I think are.
Resident Evil 2, I don't think is that scary.
I think it's scary early on.
Resident Evil 7 is like holy fuck that game.
Outlast is scary.
Oh man, PT, goddamn. Anyways, like I really enjoyed this experience. there's a large difference between how good this game is and how much fun the experience was. The game itself had multiple issues. There was a couple moments where like I was like walking like pushing forward and it would just like go and put me in a corner and then not let me get out of the corner. I would have to like do weird things to like try to debug it in a moment. I'm like, okay, there's some broken aspects to it. But like at the end of the day, this is a story-based horror game. You're making the choices. The gameplay doesn't fucking matter. Like we joke all the time where it's like to open a door lock, it's okay, R2 to go and flip it up, push left to go and like open it and then walk through the door. And it's like, that's gameplay, baby. Like the jokes were writing themselves because you're not actually playing the game. You're just experiencing a story. The story itself is really fun. It's perfectly campy and ridiculous, and like it almost feels like something that you would tell around a campfire and be like, all right, there's this group of teenagers, they're in a cabin and shit goes awry. And it's great. I really fucking enjoyed that overarching story and experience. But the special sauce of this game was playing it with you and Brady on the couch every single Monday for group stream, turning the lights off, like just trying to immerse ourselves in this fun little tale. And overall, I think that it's like a 7.5 for me out of 10, where I'm like, this is just a really good game. Like, I don't think that it's expertly crafted or even the story is like so well woven together. A lot of things are pretty like the twists and turns that the story brings me down weren't always the best, especially later in the game where I'm like, all right, let's wrap this up. Let's get to dawn, you know? So yeah, I had a good time with this one. Definitely one that like as spooky season ends, if you haven't gotten to Until Dawn, play Until Dawn.
Play the original though.
Play the original, a lot of people would say.
Yeah. Don't play the remake is I did not like the visual changes that they had to the remake. It loses some of that visual flair, some of that character. It also runs at 30 frames per second for no reason, whereas the original runs at 60 on PS5, which makes no sense. We're getting a sequel, which is apparently that's been teased.
It's teased, not confirmed or anything, but
and
teased.
There's
out.
a new ending at the end of this, which is interesting. But yeah, this was one of my favorite games for the year that it came out. Absolutely loved it. But I had that same experience. I played it on the couch with a college friend, and we had a blast making decisions and talking about it and seeing like the butterfly effect of how things would change. Like we had characters die really early on that could be there for the rest of the game and be involved in these story aspects. And like, that's interesting. That's cool. Like I like that. It has a lot of replayability in that way. So
totally.
I think Until Dawn is a great experience. I think that when it comes to cinematic quick time event story games, I think it's one of the best. I think it's an 8 out of 10. I think there's only so much that you could possibly do with that.
Yeah.
And it's not trying to tell this like fantastic story. It's a B movie horror experience.
Yeah.
And it does that expertly. It does that very well. So I think Until Dawn is an 8 out of 10. Great game. Love it. Think it's a blast. But it should be played with other people.
Connor, tell me a little bit about this game called Resident Evil 5.
Resident Evil 5. Man, what a disappointing game. As somebody who loves Resident Evil 4, I do appreciate that they stuck with the combat where you plant your feet and line up the shot and shoot. I do like that in Resident Evil 4, and I'm glad that it's in Resident Evil 5. This is an action game. It's not a horror game. It's fun. It's silly. It doesn't take itself. Or it takes itself seriously, but like I almost feel like I'm not meant to take it seriously.
Yeah.
That like it's ridiculous. The story is whatever for the most part. Wesker's a really cool, interesting villain, but it's all about shooting zombies with your bros and co-op having a co-op experience. And you and I got to do that on stream, and it was a lot of fun doing that. There's some pressure points when it comes to frustrating aspects of the game and certain choke points. We got to the end of this game with no ammo basically and had to fight the final boss and just cross our fingers.
There was a moment you and I were fighting the final boss and we were using our knives to cut at the final boss.
I thought we were
ammo.
close. I thought we were close to the end, and we clearly were not. And it was like, geez. So we had to end up like selling a bunch of our stuff and then upgrading our gun capacity to get more ammo. And we like barely scraped over the finish line at 1 a.m. We're supposed to finish stream at 10, and we finished at around 1.
So stream normally goes to 10. It's 3 hours long. Connor and I fully understood we're going past 10 for this stream. We're just going to get it done with tonight. And I was like, all right, it's going to be 11, maybe 11:30. And then it was like, no, it's going to be midnight. And then the final boss took us like 45 minutes when it should have taken us like 15. And all of a sudden it's 1 a.m. and we're rolling credits. I'm like, that was an experience. This game for me is what gaming can be when you have friends along with you compared. Like the game itself is, in my opinion, like maybe a 6 out of 10.
I'm in that same.
Like it might be
10,
like a
6.5.
5.5 for me, like even a little bit lower, where I'm like, this is just like, oh, it's a whatever. Like the game itself, I will never ever think about anything that ever happened in Resident Evil 5. Like there's no imprint on me when it comes to the game itself. Playing it with you and the laughs that we were having playing this game was some of the best shit we've, like, content wise we produced this year, but like just some of the most general fun I've had in
But
gaming
it
this
almost
year.
had nothing to do with the game.
No,
it just had everything to do with you and I playing together.
But exactly though, that's why gaming can be special in a different type of way. Like, and Resident Evil 5 gave us a fucking awesome experience. This stream is the most cursed thing we've ever done in all of Co-op 64 history. There's been no more pain in the fucking ass than Resident Evil 5. But the experience and the weight that had to happen because of many different issues and complications with the Resident Evil 5 weekend streams, the fact that we end up throwing this on Wednesdays and having so much fun every single Wednesday, like I can't believe that I was looking forward to Resident Evil 5 streams. And for those that watch those streams and the feedback we got, we're like, oh, these streams fucking rule and everything. We'll definitely try to do more similar stuff in the future because it was a blast.
Yeah,
super
fun. Good game, or okay game, I would say.
Close
to good.
Yeah.
I could be convinced at a 7 out of 10, but I don't know how much of that is the co-op experience.
I think it's the co-op experience itself of like the gameplay of running around with a extra person shooting headshot zombies. There's fun to be had there, but like the story and like even just the general gameplay of shooting a headshot feels good. Getting like the Resident Evil cycle of you shoot something and then their body drops ammo and you're just like, okay, that gameplay loop is like fun, but it still doesn't feel great, and or because they strip away that horror aspect
and they strip away the item management aspect. So like that idea of like picking stuff up and like gathering items, it doesn't hit the same way when you're like trying to think of like how to manage your inventory and all that. Taking that out like is a big miss when it comes to that. Like you have your small inventory, but it doesn't feel like you're making decisions,
especially with only 5 extra slots that are not weapon slots. It's like, all right, like I'm not having a lot of fun.
Feels like an afterthought. And then when it comes to like, if this was not a Resident Evil game and it was like an action game, it's not a very good action game. No. And as a Resident Evil game, for something that what I want out of Resident Evil, it's not a very good Resident Evil game. Yeah. So it's just a game that exists and almost doesn't feel connected to anything, even though it does have like story aspects that you're with Chris, you're trying to find Jill, you have your new character Sheva, Wesker, and everything. So like it's interesting enough, and it gets you to the finish line, but like it's just not what I want from Resident Evil, and I struggle with, should I hold that against it? And I'm gonna hold it.
That's where I'm at too, where normally I try to give games like that the benefit of the doubt, but the experience that I had was just a lot of like, man, I'm really excited to stream Resident Evil 5 tonight, and it has nothing to do with Resident Evil 5.
What's fascinating is that when you change it to first person, you have a totally new character in a totally new world with Resident Evil 7 that has barely any connection to Resident Evil, like the previous stories. It somehow feels more Resident Evil than a direct sequel to Resident Evil 4. Like with characters we already know. It's strange, man. Like, but I still had some fun, so I can't really complain.
A lot of laughs.
Alrighty, hopping into our final bit here. We're hopping into the draft. You get the first one for this one.
Ooh, I get the first pick in this draft?
Yeah. All right, ready? Today, we are drafting fighting games. Nick, you have the first pick. What are we taking?
With my first pick, I'm choosing the most universal fighting game that there is. I'm choosing Smash Ultimate with my first pick. The fun plus the character roster. This game should not exist, and it does, and it's a beautiful thing. Smash Ultimate with my first pick.
With my first pick, I'm going to pick Marvel vs. Capcom 2. My goodness, what a gorgeous video game. Just from a presentational standpoint, it's ridiculous. When it comes to actually playing and getting to choose from this awesome cast of characters, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 with my first pick. With my second pick, I'm just going to get Melee off the board here. I'm going to take Super Smash Bros. Melee. There is a reason that this game is still played as heavily as it is today. It is timeless, and it keeps getting better somehow, and people keep discovering new things and getting good with different characters. Like the tier list changes somehow for a game that came out in the early 2000s. It's wild. Melee with my second pick.
The draft's over, dude. The draft is fucking over. I love MEC2 and I love Melee, but the draft is over because with my next pick, I'm going to choose Guilty Gear Strive. What a fucking title between unbelievable combat and a great art style. Guilty Gear Strive is just top of the line when it comes to modern fighting titles. And then let's go back into the retro bag and get Street Fighter 2, my friend, which is arguably still the best Street Fighter of all time. One of the most influential video games of all time. If somebody said Street Fighter 2 is the greatest game of all time, there's a case to be made. So I'm going to choose Street Fighter 2 with my next pick. And at this point, just rock the baby asleep because my team is fucking stacked. And Connor, I think it's over for you, buddy.
For my third pick, I'm going to pick Tekken 8, one of the best games from this year, probably the best fighter from this year, almost universally, I would say. So Tekken 8 with my third pick. With my fourth pick, I'm going to pick Dragon Ball Fighter Z, or Fighters. I love the 2D Dragon Ball fighting games, and I think Fighters is the best of the best. One of those art styles that just will age gracefully forever. Gorgeous, gorgeous game. Love it. Fighters with my fourth pick.
With my next pick, I'm going to choose the game that made me legitimately appreciate and fall in love with fighting games, and that's Mortal Kombat 10. It's one of the best in the series. For me, I will just never forget my experience of booting that up for the first time and seeing the ridiculous fatalities and being like, oh, this is just as good as it gets from a MK game. For me personally, love Mortal Kombat 10. And with my final pick, I can go in a couple different ways, but I'm going to choose something that is near and dear to me. I'm going to choose Street Fighter 6 from last year. I love Street Fighter 6. This game's fucking awesome. And the fact that it is as tight on release as it is after Street Fighter 5 and everything, like Street Fighter 6 deserves all the flowers in the world. Love talking about that game, Street Fighter 6.
I want an anime fighter on my list, so I'm going to pick Persona 4. Well, I guess.
Do you have Dragon Ball?
I'm going to redo that. Yeah, you're right. For my final pick, I'm going to pick Persona 4 Arena. I love the art style. I love Persona. Mix that together for a fighting game. Are you kidding me? Persona 4 Arena with that fifth pick.
I had Soul Calibur 2 as an honorable mention. The fact that neither of us picked that was pretty shocking. Yeah. And then I also had MK2 on there for Legacy.
PlayStation All-Stars. Battle Royale.
Yeah, we could have had some fun there.
I thought about throwing the draft and picking that like third.
Honestly, you could have picked it last and because you got smoked already.
No, I did not. Marvel vs. Capcom, Melee, and Tekken 8. I think that goes toe to toe.
That does not go toe to toe with fucking. Did either of us pick Tekken 3?
No, I picked Tekken 8. I didn't want to pick all the stuff.
Did I not pick any Tekken?
No.
Oh, damn. Tekken 8 3 is the number one thing on my board. Oh, we were going to get fucking cooked. For some reason, I thought.
I think people 7, 8, 3. There's like 5 people like.
I know, but Tekken 3 is the classic. It's one of the most important titles in gaming history. I like the way that I have followed the gaming industry and the fighting game industry for enough time. Like Tekken 3 and Street Fighter 2 are the ones that get brought up the most when it comes to those legacy titles for what I believe are the best of the best. But yeah, no, this was a fun little draft. I always love talking some fighting games. And I do think Dragon Ball Fighters helped your team a lot because I was like, I don't want to talk about it because I don't know the game well enough to talk about it. But like that game is storied as one of the GOATs. So that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, this has been a fun one. This is like, it's always fun when we get to do these episodes. There's no stakes. There's no predictions. There's no, unless you want to count me saying that the Switch 2 is going to come out like on Monday or Tuesday.
There's no review, full-on review.
Yeah, there's no major review. Yeah. We're just hanging out. We're talking games and we're talking about some good ones.
That's the thing with this. Like we might talk negatively about some games, but But at the end of the day, when it comes to just broing out with talking about video games, like that's
The podcast.
Yeah, that's how this channel like really was created.
Yeah.
So like it's fun to just be able to do
This
that.
is the casual aspect of the casual gaming conversation. So it's a lot of fun.
All right. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to give us a review on Apple Podcasts and check out the Twitch stream and join the Discord and buy some merch if you'd like, so on and so forth. We look forward to seeing everybody at TORG, the Ohio Retro Gaming Convention, this upcoming weekend. Peace out, guys. Appreciate you.